Hey, Chris Lipe here. I want to clear up some misconceptions about screaming and singing with distortion and share the truth regarding distortion, screaming, volume control, and perceived intensity. Do you have to have veins popping out of your head and you have to be super loud, louder than you've ever been in order to get a great scream or a really nice distorted tone? No. But you can do that. You can be really intense as long as you don't have to be. Now, I'm going to go through some demonstrations in this video that are going to help you see the layers, the how to get there with certain aggressive notes. And I'm going to break it down to the note level. It's best to start at the note level, then work to phrases, and then work to parts of songs, and then work to whole songs, because it helps us get the feel, and it helps us understand how different parts, different layers of our voice work in order to get these types of sounds. Even when we're watching vocal teachers like myself, or when we're listening to songs or watching YouTube videos of our favorite singers doing certain things, there's a lot of assumptions that we make, and I certainly do this too, where we see, oh man, they look really intense. But the intensity isn't necessarily there because it has to be, and I know that doesn't make a ton of sense yet, but it will. It's there because it's part of the involvement in the emotion of the moment. And there's a big difference between using push, between using lots of volume or body engagement because you feel like you have to, versus being able to get into what you're doing, kind of throwing off all insecurity and approaching this type of singing with abandon. Both look very intense, both are very intense, but are coming at it from very different vantage points. And as you see me kind of going up this ladder of adding sounds to my voice, adding things to my voice to make it sound more aggressive, more distorted, screamy, you have to understand that this coordination takes a lot of time, in addition to a lot of introspection. Once you understand it conceptually, it takes a lot of practicing. If you'd like more help doing this, click the link below and join my free vocal course. I help you break down your voice in an even more detailed way and help you experience things about your voice that will help you do what I'm doing in this video with your own voice on a whole other level. So a huge misconception when it comes to screaming or distorted vocals is that we just push until things break up. That is not the case. We don't want to think about it that way, even though we will eventually add more push to taste to get sort of the intensity level that we want. It doesn't mean that we need to start with, okay, I've got a note and I'm just going to push more and 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 more. There is this sense that I will get some distortion, but I'm giving it all I got. I'm getting so loud. That's the wrong way to do it. Eventually what happens when you do that is you end up breaking up, but you're not taking the time to feel placement of where things need to happen in order to get more aggressive sounding at lower volumes. We want to be able to get aggressive sounding at lower volumes first, and then push into it because we want to, not because we have to. So let's go super basic and super quiet for a minute. I'm going to do a very quiet note, hey, and I'm going to hold that pitch, and I'm going to add fry over it. Fry. You can hear the two things happening. What that is that's two different areas of my throat being engaged. My primary vocal cords and the area above my larynx, the area above my vocal cords. It's not that when we are singing aggressively, we are It's pure fry in that exact same existence as it is when we're singing aggressively. But what doing this does is it helps us to feel the difference of where the engagement is. We've got vocal cords and we've got fry. Fry is high. Vocal cords are lower. And when we combine the two, we get something reminiscent of where we want to be when we are adding more airflow, and what fry can turn into when we start using the same area that we experience fry to hold back air. It's going to be a similar area. And again, this is the tip of the iceberg. And if you want more help with this, I have a whole course on this very way of getting engagement out of your throat, out of your tissues in your body, and really experiencing this in a full way. But let's look at fry again, and let's go higher in pitch. Yay! Now there, I'm bringing the fry in and out of that higher, quiet, head-voiced pitch. There are some voices that do that really well, and Steven Tyler is one of them, where he's raspy in his head voice, and you have that sort of sound, but it's not a hugely, vomitous push. It's this nice head voice, pure head voice, combined with a little bit of fry. Hey. We can add to the raspiness of that by experimenting with less complete chord closure. Right? We're not allowing our vocal cords to purely close, so it's this breathy sound. And combining that with vocal fry, so more closure at the top of our throat. You can hear little things happening there. Let's dial it in more. There's a little bit of breath. There's a little bit of fry. This is very, very, very quiet and somewhat usable. Now, let's start adding airflow in, managing compression, managing the airflow and compression with that same area we hear fry, right? Or we feel fry happening. Fry is high. And we're going to just choose a note. Hey! Pure note. We're going to start clean. Start thinking about your distortion, your screaming, your compression as guitar effects over a clean sounding guitar. When you plug a guitar into your amp, you have a clean sound. You don't get really good distortion out of that by continuing to turn up the volume on your guitar or on the amp, right? There are things that happen when you do that, right? Like, you turn up the amp, you get speaker breakup. That's a certain type of sound. You turn up your volume knob all the way, or you add a way to regulate the tubes, and that creates breakup. The regulating the tubes is really a form of compression, which we are adding with our voice. And distortion itself in a guitar is a form of compression. So we want to think about that in terms of our voice. If we have a clean note, hey, we want that note to exist well supported, hey, and then add these aspects over the top of that note. You add it to the note instead of making it the note. It's a subtle perspective shift, but it is something that will help you dial this stuff in. Hey! Now, I'm going to hold back air. Hey! That is not adding more volume. But it is pushing more relative to what the air that is coming out of my face, because I'm holding it back with compression. You've heard me talk about this a lot in other videos. Hey! That's taking a clean note, and it is engaging the part above my vocal cords in order to get that distortion. This can become more and more extreme as we create more opportunity for air to go up, and we hold back more air. This is not going hard on the chords if we're doing it right. Hey! And it doesn't have to be that loud either, because the amount of squeeze that we have here versus the amount of push that we have here can be dynamic. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be I'm not pushing that hard, but I'm holding back a lot of air. And I'm learning the coordination of how to gradually hold back air and not completely stop holding back the air. But the key is it's high. It's not that makes me cough instantly, and it gets transported. What I did is I lowered it down into my throat, which is where a lot of people start. But if you have that mindset of fry being high, up, this is going to help you. Now, the other aspect of this that helps me get to an even greater level of breakup is when I am conscious about how my voice breaks when I go from chest resonance to head resonance. And you've likely seen me talk about this before, but I want to tie it into this concept of compression. Let me compress. Let me get that nice feels the same way as fry high. What I'm doing is I'm exposing, when I'm letting my voice crack, you can feel the air is traveling more freely through everything when my voice cracks for that split second, allowing my false chord area of the area above my throat, which is the same area as this compression, it's allowing more air to be caught there. So in effect, I am reminded of how much air I'm using, and I can actually bring in less air when I learn how to engage this area better. Exposing my vocal break is a way, it's kind of a loophole, or it's a way to expose our vulnerability in our voice to create more opportunity for airflow and more opportunity for air to hit our false chord area without it being engaged directly by our primary vocal cords. Okay, you can hear things sort of taking shape. Let's keep going with it. There we have it. And you can see in my face, you can see in my body language, when I'm adding a lot of airflow, when I'm adding a lot of intensity, and when I'm not. And I can get really intense sounds without being terribly, right? Now, there are lots of times when we're doing this where we start to run out of air and we kind of, we feel our body start to implode. When we do this, we get more blood to the head, veins start popping out, all sorts of things. We need to make sure that we are operating on an air amount surplus all the way up when we go to scream, so that we don't run out and then start forgetting about these core fundamental things we have in place. Low! Low! There's freedom! There's freedom! Whether you're doing a nice mixed voice scream with lots of distortion, or whether you're doing a more pitchless variety, make sure that you take the steps to build and understand the feel behind the things that you're adding to your voice. Distortion is an additive process. It is not a replacement process. Keep that in mind. And again, if you want to go way deeper, click the link below and join my free vocal course. And I'll help you, I'll handhold you through this situation, through the process of discovering how you can safely and effectively put this kind of thing in your voice. We'll see you for more.